John Cunningham with VirtualWare, who will be talking about the future of XR in the enterprise. John?
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. All right, I'm going to try to pick it up here a little bit because I got a lot of content to go through, and I'm just going to bore the mess out of all of you, okay? But before we get started, how many of you made it to the event last night, the VRARA event? Okay, those of you that didn't, it was amazing. You missed it. No. Last night, what we were doing was relaunching the Houston chapter of the VRARA Association, and we announced the appointment of 4 board advisors, people that you've seen running around here the last couple days, including Sean right there. And the chapter advisory board helps steer the chapter towards making sure that we're meeting the needs of our local community in line with the global VRARA Association mission, organizing events and things like that. So first of all, I want to thank all of our chapter advisors for volunteering to do this. Sean, we got a lot going on, man. Thank you very much. And then last night, also, I made the announcement that I was the interim chapter president. I'm the COO of the VRARA Association. That's just like a volunteer role to help steer things. I'm also the president of the Orlando chapter, which we started in 2019 and got a lot of cool things going on. But we wanted to relaunch the Houston chapter, so I volunteered to be the interim president. Well, I got fired last night. Yeah, I opened my mouth and I said, hey, I'm the interim president. We're looking for a permanent president. And Josh Bankston, said, I would like to be the chapter president. So let's give Josh a big round of applause. We're recording this, and so Josh, I want to say thank you very much. You know, with that, the advisory board, with the support of chapters around the world, we hope to turn Houston into one of the most active chapters. Okay, now, my presentation. Last year, I stood up on stage and I delivered a keynote called, Have We Reached the Tipping Point? Remember that? We talked about, okay, have we reached that point yet? And we're looking forward. And well, this year, the title of the presentation is Moving XR Out of the Lab into the Enterprise. And it goes along with the theme of all the things we were talking about in the last couple of days. Tipping point. I'm using Malcolm Gladwell's definition. Those of you that read The Tipping Point many years ago, right? It works. It's that point where it's not going back. Let's not confuse tipping point with mass adoption. It's the point at which you're not going back. And I think in a conference in 2019, I said something like this. I said, when we stop talking about headsets and we start talking about management, security, scalability, then we've known we've reached the tipping point. And that's what we're talking about right now, isn't it? Every conversation I've had has been less about what is XR and what can it do, less about the headset and which one do you think is better. It's been about, man, how do we deploy this at scale? How do we manage it? How do we enable cross-collaboration? So I think we're there. So a couple of points. XR technology is moving from pilot or bespoke projects to production across the enterprise. It's happening. Organizations require enterprise software and hardware solutions. It's a key word in the theme of this presentation, enterprise, not consumer. I'm only talking about enterprise. XR is confusing to end users and buyers. Would you guys agree with that? Would you agree? End users, it's confusing, right? I talk to all the time, it's like, oh my God, we're overwhelmed. This stuff changes so much. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors and very good marketing positioning about, oh, we've got this and it can do that. And then when you really get into it, maybe it can, maybe it can't. So anyway, Family Feud, this is audience participation, right? You guys know the Family Feud? So surveyed 100 companies. We didn't. This is ChatGPT. But do ChatGPT. Ask the question. It's really interesting kind of what you get. So these are the top concerns pertaining to internal XR initiatives. I'm not going to read all those. You guys can read them. But in the enterprise, it's not you have to meet one. You have to meet all. How many of you have seen projects you spent years on, get to the IT department like, oh, it doesn't meet our IT policy, we can't do this. Have you seen that happen? Or, oh, legal says we can't sign off on this because of the terms of licensing for that platform. Or, wait a minute, we don't own the IP, we're going to help this company build this whole thing, but we don't own the intellectual property on the training processes for our own equipment. Can't do it. So we have to check all those boxes, and that's not trivial, okay? Now, what does enterprise software mean? Well, enterprise software typically means that the organization uses the software rather than individuals. Enterprise software is used to run, scale, and optimize day-to-day operations. And organizations might also use enterprise software to build their own customized workflows, right? We've seen that with ERP systems, with CRM systems. You're using a tool, a platform, and you're building your own customized workflow, right? So what's the difference between software tools and XR platforms? We keep hearing that this is a platform. You guys know I used to work for Unity, right? We had a platform. Our marketing team would constantly tell me the Unity platform, and I kept saying, this is not a platform, this is a tool. People use Unity to go build platforms. We are not a platform. Oh no, we're a platform. So anyway, they politely asked me to leave. Leave the room, you're making too much problems. But the reality is, tools and platforms are two different things, okay? Tools have specific functions. Platforms typically have broader functionality. They enable workflow, and they often incorporate a lot of different tools, okay? What are some examples of tools or platforms? Raise your hands. Give me an example of a tool. Come on, guys. Revit. Tools. Visual Studio. Okay? Unity, Unreal. Those are tools, by my definition. Okay? I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. And by the way, I want to thank everyone this week for putting up with me. Right? I know we had some really heated discussions and debates. It's all part of the fun of these conferences, to get in, discuss, debate things, make new friends, make new business partners. I really enjoy that. A lot of times, okay, let's give an example of platform. Omniverse. That's it? SAP. All right, that was a lead-in question. I got a slide that's going to show you that. But tools are often mismarketed as platforms. Would you agree? Would you agree? Don't agree? Anybody don't agree? Raise your hand. Let's discuss it. I'm fine with that. Right? And that's important for end users. Because when you're working in Kyle's job at ExxonMobil or at ConocoPhillips, and you got to evaluate what products are we going to use, and you see this message of this is a platform, okay, what does that mean? Not that it's not a platform. Is it a platform in the context of what this enterprise is looking for? Okay? All look familiar? The last one. What is an enterprise XR platform? That question mark is empty, and there's many of us in the room that want to fill that question mark with our brand. Right, Sean? See? There's this new category of enterprise XR that I think the industry needs to define. What is an enterprise XR platform? I'm trying to talk to Gartner right now to create a magic quadrant for enterprise XR. I'm a little bit self-biased, because of the company I work with. But when we go talk to large corporations and they say, well, can you show us where you are in the Gartner Magic Quadrant? Because that's how large corporations buy things. There is none. So help me out. Anybody got connections into Gartner that can help push this along? Let's go. Right? Enterprise XR is not just for training. Now, I'm going to say something here, and I said it earlier. I'm going to say this, and some of you are going to throw rocks at me, and that's okay. When you start looking at building the business case for just training in a large corporation, it's not often sufficient enough to justify capital investment. If Susan Spark was here, Susan's not here, but if she was here, she'd agree, because she's tried everything at SLB, right? It's important. Training is important. We need it. But it often doesn't justify the millions and millions of dollars of infrastructure that needs to be purchased to support that. But when you start stacking use cases like sales and marketing, new product development, productivity improvements, competitive differentiators, you start connecting workers using digital twins, things like that, now you're stacking your business case and it gets stronger to go through. So those are the kind of conversations I'd love to have with those of you in the room, because this is what I'm running into. So I kind of run into a point where I can sit down with the C-suite in a large corporation, have a few conversations, say, there's something there or there's nothing there. Because that'll save a lot of sales time, right? All of us want to get to the end goal, which is we want to solve problems. Okay, I got 9 minutes. Is this interesting? Yeah? Okay, case study time. What I like to do, I like to go deep. By the way, all these slides were not created by ChatGPT, as my friend Kevin O'Donovan suggested. He's like, John, your slides look like shit. I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to communicate information. So I created these. So bear with me if they're a little bit awkward. And by the way, Kevin O'Donovan also said, so I'm wearing a jacket today, because yesterday he said I had the Zelensky look going on with my black sweater. So Kevin, I put this on for you, man. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 case studies, and I'm going to go a little bit deep in them, okay? First one is GE Vernova. I'm going to show you a video, because you guys might have seen this before. And this thing's, there we go. Volume? No volume? Okay. This is what GE Vernova's nuclear power plant simulator looks like. You can see that it's an environment. You guys have seen plenty of environments, but what's really interesting is notice that the workers are working on a physical simulator in VR, and they're connected to other people in other locations. And I'll go into the details. I just wanted you to see what it looks like. Okay? Is it photorealistic? Not necessarily. Did they need it to be photorealistic? Not necessarily. What they needed to do was team training, and they needed to actually use the equipment that they're going to be working on. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain how they do it. I want to get into how they're doing this. Okay, ready? So first of all, a nuclear reactor team has 3 people: senior reactor operator, a fuel mover, and a spotter. Okay, anybody worked on a nuclear reactor movement team before? Right? You did? So, okay, so it's a team sport, right? And these outages, when they have to do these outages, they can be down for 2 to 3 weeks. That plant is not generating electricity. So they want to shorten how fast they can move these nuclear fuel rods. Okay, and the teams have never worked before together. So pre-VR, they would all have to fly to San Jose and work on the one nuclear power plant simulator in the United States. So there's limits of throughput. They said, we got to be able to do better because we're going to sell more of these things. Our friends up in Canada want a whole bunch of these nuclear power plants. So post-VR, they created a virtual, multi-user virtual room next to the physical simulator where people can go and they can do reps and sets and work on stuff without consuming simulator time, right? So that doubled the throughput. Then they said, hey, we can use this virtual reality technology and put these training rooms in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we have these mobile rooms that we can actually bring to our utility customers. The senior reactor operator is a utility employee. They can train with a GE Vernova employee in different places. Wow, how about that? Then they added another room up in Canada. And then guess what? Oh, we got all this infrastructure. We now can connect people all across GE Vernova and our utility company. They can jump in on a desktop and watch what's going on and see all the data. What a concept, huh? So this is what the infrastructure, I'm calling this the infrastructure block diagram because a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's a platform. What is a platform? This is what a infrastructure platform looks like. At the top level, they're using their own tools, Blender, Autodesk, to create their models. They're bringing it into the content and simulation layer, which is Unity and VRARA, right? Then they're pushing that into the GE Vernova Enterprise XR platform, which is AWS Private Cloud and VRARA using a Unity SDK. And then each of these rooms, you can see the infrastructure, right? Dan, you'd be happy to know that all of those rooms are using HTC Vive. It's your favorite point. I figured that. And Business Plus streaming, because we're using controller-less technology, and we're streaming all of that right into the headset, okay? That's pretty sophisticated infrastructure. And notice the training room managers run this, not developers, not engineers. Training room managers have been trained. They're able to go in and pull their modules up. They can specify which specific power plant, what does the nuclear fuel outage move look like, and then they can insert faults and things like that, and they can actually train the teams. Right? What's the results? They've gone from 10 minutes per move to 6 minutes per move. They do 2,000 moves per outage. Do the math. Okay? More importantly, they've offset a capital expenditure of about $20 to $50 million by building a new nuclear power simulator. So right there's your business case, folks. It's not about training, but it is. It's about offsetting capital expenditures. It's a huge value proposition. You don't have to go build another physical plant. And this thing is doing it to me again. Might need to get these batteries looked at. Can I get 5 minutes back, Sean, on my clock? All right. Next phase. So now they've implemented that infrastructure. They're now saying, hey, how else can we use this? We've spent millions of dollars on this infrastructure. It's all secure. It's running behind a firewall. We love it. Okay, how about we're selling new power plants? Can we bring our utility customers into our virtual training rooms to show them the new BWRX 300 small nuclear reactors? Right? What a concept. Bring your customer into your digital showroom, have them come, host them, walk them through the VR experience, and connect them to other locations, sell more. Okay? The infrastructure was already there. The digital twins were already built. They're now using it for a different purpose. Polish it up a little bit, you know, put some highlights and stuff like that, and you can see what the benefits are. Okay? Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Phase 3. Now that they've done that, hey, what can we do with this existing infrastructure to help improve our customers that are running the plants? Can we connect IoT data? Can we actually create operational digital twins? The first two is happening. It's done. This is the new phase that they're looking at. Well, they're using Smart Signal, right, which is their early preventative maintenance system. They're using NVIDIA Omniverse, Navisworks, VisionAce. Okay? Now they can actually go to their customers and say, hey, we have these services we can offer. You can hook up to your plant, and we can help you save a lot of money. Pretty cool? That is an example of how at scale an organization can really leverage the infrastructure that they've put in beyond just a training. Okay? Next slide, please. Now I want to go to a new, one that we recently announced. Nexstar Energy, next slide. I got 2 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm going to get through these. Stellantis and LG Energy up in Canada formed a joint venture called Nexstar. They're going to build a factory for electric vehicle batteries. Okay? Their problem was they need to build a factory, train 300 new workers without having a factory. How do you do that? What's the answer? VRARA, right? And so what they were able to do in the business case, they were able to shorten the time to train by 6 months, get the factory up and running 6 months ahead of what they originally planned when they factored in how they trained using traditional means. Okay? So the architecture, again, it's this they're calling it the Invest Windsor Essex because that's the company that's actually the organization that's doing this. It's their platform. It's running on AWS. They're able to use all of their tools that their customers are using to create their manufacturing plant, bring those into the platform, and then be able to create this training content. Now, what they've done is they've got laptops, they've got traditional classrooms with laptops and desktops where they can go in and do the class training, but then they can also go into the multi-user VR arena and do team training stuff. And that multi-user VR arena is right next to the classrooms. Okay, so it's integrating traditional classroom infrastructure with XR. And then the other thing is they have a cave system there up at Invest Windsor Essex. It's like an automotive design center. So they've integrated their platform into their cave. So now they can bring users in virtual reality or desktop into the cave to do automotive design reviews and stuff like that. What we're starting to see is all this technology is playing nicely together. Okay? All right, next slide. And by the way, if you go to their website, webbatteryboost.com, this is how they're advertising it. This is a workforce development program sponsored by the government of Ontario and the Canadian government to transform and improve their economic conditions in Canada. Interesting, huh? XR is enabling this. Okay, last case study, Ohio University. Any Ohio U graduates here, alumni? Right, back there? Awesome, Athens, Ohio. My first time up there a few months ago. Everybody knows Ohio State, not a lot of people know Ohio U. They've got a bunch of campuses. They're a big university, okay? So they've been using, we recently acquired a company called Simumatic, which is a digital twin emulation platform. They were out of Sweden. Think about building digital twins and actually running your logic, your PLC software inside of the emulation platform, and then testing your factory lines and all your equipment in virtual space before you actually build it out. So anyway, they've been using Simumatic for years to create digital twins of equipment, and they actually have a virtual smart factory. They call it their virtual smart lab. And they train students how to program factory automation, how to program robots, and then they can actually connect into real manufacturing lines with partnerships they have around the state to test how this stuff works. It's really, really cool. Right? So I'm not going to walk through every detail. You guys can read that. But the point is, this is a workforce development initiative for the area of Ohio, Southern Ohio, Appalachia, to upskill workers. Okay? That's been going on for years. Well, what we looked at was, how can we now leverage XR? And imagine, right now they have to go to desktops to run all this emulation. What if you could jump in VR from anywhere? Now you can jump in and actually be part of testing a factory line and participating in they call it virtual testing and commissioning, right? And so this is the phase we're embarking on now. They created a organization or program called the Digital Enterprise Collaboratory with Dayton University, the U.S. Air Force Materiel Command, and Intel. Guess what's happening in Ohio? Intel's building a new fab plant, 4,000 workers. Anduril is building their drone factory, 3,000 workers in Ohio. They went to Ohio University and said, we need help. How are we going to train people that live in rural Ohio to work in these state-of-the-art factories? So Ohio University has created this program. They're using our platform, right? We're going to be connecting 3 campus locations across the state of Ohio along with the Air Force so that folks can jump in these multi-user VR rooms, collaborate, but then they're also going to be creating specific curriculum, working with instructional designers, with Intel, on how they're going to train their workers for those lines. Pretty cool? So yeah, right, and I thought, if I'm sitting in the audience, what's the kind of stuff that I want to see? I want to see how stuff is being done, right? We're at that point now, how stuff is being done. Now, for the price of a beer, I will share with you all the problems that we've had, okay? Because none of this shit goes the way we ever plan it. It just doesn't happen that way. It's the end result that counts, right? So with that, I'm going to close this by showing you this video so you can see what it looks like.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Thank you, John.
You got it.
Appreciate it.